From our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
The opposition has seized on blown-out Spirit birthing costs and a stalled aviation fund as debate heats up on the election campaign trail. The Liberals focusing on modular housing in a bid to keep up with demand, while the Greens are pushing for a crackdown on dodgy rentals.
Spirit of Tasmania 4 is set to sail into home waters within weeks, but the cost for keeping it in Scotland for the failed leasing bid is still unclear, and Labor wants answers.
We know that it cost $3 million up until February, and that it would have cost millions of more dollars since that time.
Though the government says the total bill could take time to finalise. From the sea to the air.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now,
why not book one to Tasmania?
The opposition has its sights firmly on tourism, promising to extend the $5 million aviation attraction fund to lure more services on existing flight routes, on top of new ones.
This means we'll add more flights with tens of thousands of extra tourists coming right here to Tasmania.
Opening this up to Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane makes it much more flexible for us.
Trying to keep out of the winter wet. Whoa. The Premier drilling in an extra 200 modular homes to tackle the state's housing shortage.
To ensure that Tasmanians get houses quicker and cheaper.
We can build a home from the floor up to have the tiling done, the bathrooms and kitchens fitted within 6 weeks. On a building site with this weather, a lot of the builders would be off work.
Also pledging to extend the payroll tax rebate for apprentices to get them built.
You've got family homes, they come in 2 pieces, single pieces, 4 pieces. It's just, yeah, the sky's the limit.
But the Greens say the rental market needs cleaning up.
My office gets contacted all the time about people who are concerned or upset about the standard of their rental property.
Calling for a crackdown on minimum standards and a new task force to enforce renters' rights.
That could proactively make sure that the expectations of the community in terms of housing is actually met.
Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
Our deal with the AFL for a new stadium is unfair and a new agreement should be renegotiated, according to 2/3 of Tasmanians surveyed in a new poll. The major parties are dismissing the Australia Institute findings, unwavering in their support for a stadium.
An early morning media call turned showdown between the shadow treasurer and an anti-stadium punter.
It's not just the stadium, it's the road network, the transport, the GFS, the prices quoted will never be the final price, it'll always be higher. Both the major parties are going to go ahead with the stadium as proposed. Well, if you don't want the stadium, who do you vote for?
A new survey by the Australia Institute found nearly 70% believe the AFL is treating our state unfairly with its requirements to join the competition. 69% also agreed Parliament should renegotiate with the AFL to avoid building a new stadium. Less than 850 Tasmanians took part in the poll.
Tasmania's in quite a dire budgetary position at the moment. And so everybody is more focused on where government is spending money and where the government's getting revenue from.
This is just another poll on top of poll after poll that shows that the stadium is deeply unpopular.
But both major parties confirmed they'll continue with the agreement currently on the table.
Bodgy poll, I'd have to say. That's an anti-jobs poll that you'd expect from those that commissioned it.
It's pretty clear that there's a deal that's been signed by Jeremy Rockcliffe that now needs to be delivered on.
The AFL says a clear component of the licence bid was a new roofed stadium at Macquarie Point, and that remains a condition for the 19th licence. Either way, one independent threatens yet another election.
If we go back to that house with this stadium on the cards again, we'll be back here in another 12 months.
She's calling for the agreement with Hawthorn to be re-signed so games can be played at York Park until 2027.
We're spending $130 million to do some major renovations here.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Something much brighter now, and selling a Division 1 winning Lotto ticket is a big deal for a news agency, but selling 2 in one night is almost unheard of. The News Express at Mowbray producing winning tickets of $2.2 million each in Saturday night's draw. One of them, a 12-person syndicate. It's caused a flurry today from punters hoping for a bit of luck.
That's getting really crazy now. We are getting some new customers today as well. Yeah, getting their tickets and hopefully going to get some more winners.
These same owners have the Devonport outlet, which sold another Division 1 ticket just 2 weeks ago. Health authorities are sounding the alarm over a rise in respiratory illnesses amid a spike in flu, COVID and RSV cases. It's prompted an urgent vaccine call, especially for older Tasmanians and those with pre-existing medical conditions.
Your next dose of flu could be a cough, a sneeze or even just a touch away, with respiratory viruses already sweeping the state.
This includes the seasonal commencement of influenza or flu, early seasonal activity for RSV, as well as increased COVID-19 activity.
Those most at risk are the elderly and people with serious medical conditions, but Tasmanians of all ages are being struck down with influenza. Around 180 cases reported each week.
We expect that will increase further in the coming weeks as we head up to the peak of the season.
COVID-19 is also surging, 100 cases weekly, with residential aged care facilities a current hotspot, seeing the most increase. And RSV has peaked early with around 70 cases.
We've seen an increase in young children under 5 and adults aged 65 years and above.
Health authorities warn these numbers are only the tip of the iceberg. The advice, get your jab now, with many eligible for a free one.
Vaccines do remain the most effective way to protect against severe illness.
For those not well enough to leave their home, they're able to receive care virtually.
We can facilitate testing and access to antiviral treatment, hopefully preventing those hospital admissions.
The service already gearing up for a bumper season.
So we're starting to see an increase in numbers, so we've really got that capacity that we tested throughout the pandemic.
Patients can access care 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Rebecca Gadanera, 7 Tasmania News.
Organisers of this year's Winter Challenge are hoping to see more women compete in the multi-sport event set to be held in Orford this August. The race, which returned last year after a 5-year hiatus, sees competitors run, ride and paddle through Prosser Bay and Spring Beach in a team or solo.
It's a really good way to get someone who's into paddling but they're not a good runner, or someone who's into running but doesn't like riding bikes or paddling. So that way you can sort of get a good group of people together.
Really good circuit breaker. So a lot of people, socialise less, they exercise less in winter, and this is such a great way to increase your social activity, increase your exercise.
It's hoped more than 200 people will enter this year's challenge. We've been given the chance to see the Tasmania of almost a century ago like never before, with the release of newly remastered travel films. The National Film and Sound Archive restoring the footage designed to lure tourists and those who might call our state home.
Tasmania is calling. Pitching Hobart to discerning travellers, Tasmania the Wonderland, singing the praises of the city.
A veritable wonderland of scenic charm, an ever-changing panorama of impressive grandeur and natural beauty.
Visitors could take a tram ride through the city or cruise up the Derwent to New Norfolk.
The placid waters and the mirror-like surface of the Derwent give glorious reflections.
Released in 1935, echoes of the capital as we know it today can be seen.
The golden sands of Sandy Bay Beach, fringed with typically Australian eucalypts.
But to modernise, a visit to Beaumaris Zoo and its grim thylacine exhibit strikes a sinister note.
This is the only one in captivity in the world.
The step back in time made possible by the National Film and Sound Archive. It's remastered the travel film in 4K, along with a pair of 1960s videos selling the state to prospective settlers. A place where the postman hands you your mail, and a local icon entertains the little ones. Launceston offering an idyllic life to those willing to make the flight. With plentiful public transport and a bustling city centre, days are spent in state-of-the-art factories, while nights are spent at the theatre. Or rocking out to the newest tunes. History buffs can find the full films on the NFSA's website and take a stroll down memory lane. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
An empty shop in the heart of Launceston is now a warm winter space with kids' activities, music and games. A lounge on St John Street is somewhere for people to sit and mingle. It's been fitted out by local businesses, hoping it will draw more people into the city.
Finding that warm space in the CBD, especially over winter, to keep cosy and warm and hopefully stay in the city centre for longer. So any day that you come in here, something new could be going on.
I think every business in Launceston will benefit by having more foot traffic in the city, whether they're coming in to have a coffee and then pop in here, or going to buy some clothing or furniture.
Last year, 9,000 people dropped into the lounge. Hobart is preparing to serve up a summer of jam-packed tennis after being selected to host the Billie Jean King Cup in November. The global tournament returning after more than a decade, bringing in some of the sport's biggest names.
These pint-sized tennis stars could soon be rubbing shoulders with some of the world's best when the Billie Jean King Cup hits Hobart later this year.
We're really thrilled to be able to welcome an Australian national team here to play against some of the best countries in the world.
The Aussies will host Brazil and Portugal for a spot in the 2026 qualifiers. Big names like Mayor Joint Daria Seville, Storm Hunter and Ellen Perez among those heading to Tassie.
We'll be picking, I'm sure, the best Australian team that we can.
Portugal and Brazil also boasting some promising talent.
Somewhat like a FFA Cup where you're getting teams with varying levels, but it gives an opportunity for new players to make their mark on the world scene.
The tournament, known as the World Cup of Tennis, is the largest annual international women's tournament, helping to put Tassie on the map.
We're proud of our state, we're proud of bringing these great events here, and we're looking forward to hosting and showcasing world-class tennis in our backyard.
And inspiring the next generation of budding pros.
I like how there's lots of professional players and then you get to meet them.
Improve the things that I need to improve so I can see how they do it.
There's always a few juniors that are able to come along and experience from the senior players as well, so it's a great opportunity for everybody.
The Billie Jean King Cup will warm up the state's summer tennis season ahead of the Hobart International a few months later. Rebecca Gadineris at 7 Tasmania News.
Well, the Southern League is on top of the world after giving both men's and women's NTFA sides a very long bus trip home to Launceston on Saturday with two 75-point thrashings in the final intrastate rep clash.
Tough game. It didn't feel like that. We bet them by that much with the margin. But yeah, no, it did mean a lot to us girls to bring the trophy home.
The next rep game is Tasmania versus Queensland on July 5 at Latrobe. It seems like Mitch Owen will return to Tassie in even better form than he left after a commanding all-round man-of-the-match performance in the US today. Playing for Washington Freedom in the Major League Cricket, he took 3 Texan wickets from his 3 overs, including skipper Faf du Plessis. Returning with the bat to high score, 89 off 52 balls, including 13 boundaries. His side would go on to win by 7 wickets. Northwester Jed Beeden hangs on to his position atop the Pro MX standings after another successful outing in Queensland's Darling Downs. In tricky conditions, he won the first race by a sizable margin before coming runner-up to rival Kyle Webster in the second.
Good evening. Hobart 16 degrees today, Launceston, Devonport and Burnie all 17, while Flinders and King Islands warmed through Bass Strait to 18 to be our top. Butler's Gorge our low of -1 overnight. St Helens, Friendly Beaches, Grove and Strawn all 17, Smithton and Lowhead 16, 11 the top at Ooze and Lyawini managed 7 degrees. Low cloud mostly over the north and west today. A band or two of high cloud moved over from the northwest during the day. Fisher River recorded 16 millimetres of rainfall between 9 and 4 today. More cloud is over coastal parts of southern WA and South Australia. A band sits over inland eastern Australia and the Queensland coast. Tomorrow, a decaying cold front is over our region with another to the west. A high pushes ridges over northern Australia. Yes, there's a bit coming our way. A windy day on the way as the winds tend west-northwesterly to 30 knots over southern waters, but to 40 knots over the north. We have a severe weather warning. That's for damaging winds for that red zone over northern Tasmania. A gale warning for waters between Low Rocky Point around to St Helens Point. A strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters. We also have a warning for abnormally high tides from the Tasman Peninsula around to Southport and Macquarie Macquarie Harbour in the west. So the forecast for Tuesday, how encouraging should this be? Showers for Hobart 15, a shower or two for Adventure Bay, Tarraleah showers and just 11. All the actions up north, 100% chance of rain. Launceston 15, 15 for Devonport, windy as well, Bridport a top of 16 degrees. Burnie much the same, showers and wind 15, 15 for Strawn, windy day for Marrawar, showers and 15 degrees. St Helens tomorrow 15. Showers for Swansea, 16 the top and 16 also for Whitemark, a very windy day on Flinders. On Wednesday, showers mainly over the west and south, falling a snow to 500 metres, temperatures just scraping into double figures. The west and far south may find another shower on Thursday along with southwesterly winds, and on Friday, sunny over St Helens and Launceston, partly cloudy for the rest of the state apart from a shower in the west. Showers in Adelaide and Melbourne tomorrow, just a shower or two in Sydney and Brisbane, a sunny 32 in Darwin. 13 and partly cloudy currently in Hobart. It's 13 in Launceston, mostly clear in Devonport and 14 degrees. Wednesday clear for Long Kim. Some dicey weather in the north tomorrow.
Not looking good. Thank you, Murph. And that is all your news for now. We'll be back later with updates. Thanks for your company tonight. Good night, everyone.